Hello and welcome to another episode of Under the Hood, featuring Matt, that's me, from Raynes, that's my band. If you have been following this series, you will know that I have not done one of these for quite a while. I have been very busy, I apologize, but we're going to get back into it. Today we're talking about the penultimate track on our EP Bloom, It's So Quiet Without You. Just kidding, that is the demo version. I took a screenshot of the original session to show you that it was created on Tuesday, July 31st, 2018 at 3:23 p.m. So this song has been around for quite a while. Let's get to the real one. Here is the official version. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in here, and I want to show you some of it. That's what this series is sort of all about. This is the rare Raynes song that has not undergone a lot of drastic changes in its evolution from demo to final product. The tempo's the same, the structure's the same, a lot of the arrangements are quite similar, the rhythms, even the lyrics are basically the same as the demo version, which you would hear if I were to let you listen to the whole demo version, but I'm not going to do that. Let's get into the real version. There's a lot of atmosphere in this song, kind of throughout and on top of the entire track. There are a lot of synths, there are a lot of pads, there are a lot of flute impressions and flute textures, as you can see here. That's what the tracks are called. I was a big fan of Coldplay's Viva La Vida, or Death and All His Friends, when it came out. I still am. And on that record, they used Brian Eno, we all know him, right? To add a lot of texture that they hadn't really used before. And I have realized, I'm sure that was a huge influence on me, because a lot of the time with a lot of the songs on that record and a lot of Brian Eno stuff, there's a lot of atmosphere, a lot of ambient atmosphere, and there are many times where a tone will just go through the entire song. It'll just be like a drone from start to finish, which I think is fascinating. And of course, it's layered and textured and kind of moves with the song as a whole. But I'm going to solo the atmosphere tracks so you can kind of pick those out, because they're very subtle in the mix, but I like them. Without context, that sounds like nonsense, but if you put it in the right key, in the right tempo, I think it adds a lot of, I'll say it again, atmosphere, texture, ambience to the track. I'm going to solo two interesting parts of this track. These are crickets. The track starts with a sort of cricket synth and then actual like Foley crickets, like field recording. My thought was I wanted to kind of paint this song like so that the sonic elements would match or support or complement the lyrical elements. And my idea was, when everything is quiet, all you hear are crickets. So that, is mostly for me, but I hope you like it. Getting into the meat of the song now, I will begin with the strings. The strings are obviously an enormous part of this song. I used, as I often do, VST strings blended with real strings. This was one where the real strings sounded so good that I did not really need the VST strings, because these VST samples, I will play them for you. They're pretty good. They have a good texture to them. They're kind of indelicate in that they aren't really moving and bringing the emotion and the motion to the track that I wanted. So you can only really get that with real strings. I'm going to play that again just so I can point out an element, an articulation of the strings that keeps coming back, which is a portamento. So a portamento is sort of a slide, right? And it happens a lot in the song, and it happens at the end. I'll tell you why at the end, because I think it's cool. Now, just because I think you will enjoy hearing it, I'm going to play the second half of the second verse, which close watchers of this series will remember is usually the most intricate, delicate, beautiful part of the song for me. I don't know why I do that. It just feels like that's the time to bring in a lot of subtlety, delicacy. I'll play just the soloed strings here. And then getting into the pre-chorus, I'm just going to play that because I love it. There's a very subtle but I think effective xylophone that adds a percussive element, which is, again, sort of hidden in the mix, but I think it's necessary. The second pre-chorus of the song is another instance of me trying to paint, I suppose. I don't know another word to use for it. But Mark sings the words empty space, and then immediately there's empty space. There's a lot of empty space to waste, and I've been waiting. Pretty good. So we've dealt with the synths and the strings. Let's move on to the guitars. I'm going to play this electric along with the strings so there's some context. This is the electric guitar in the second pre-chorus, which I just played. There's not much to be said about the guitars in this track, really. They are very straightforward. They just play straight eighths during the chorus. It's not that exciting, really, but the strings and the synths and the drums and everything are moving around so much that something needs to kind of hold down the fort. So that's the guitars. What I've soloed now is, as you can see, 2 tracks, Guide Bass and Quiet_CS Bass 1.1. CS means Chris Sclafani. Listeners and viewers will recall that he mixed this record for us, and he played the bass on several of the tracks, including this one. The blue track here is his bass. This right above is my guide bass, and you'll see that most of it is muted, but a few are not muted, and those are he sent me the track that he played, the bass, and the non-muted parts are the very specific little fills and transitions that I wanted him to do differently. So I am a real hassle, but he did it, and it sounds great. So I'll play that. And this, what you'll hear now, is just the his initial take, 1.1, but it still sounds phenomenal. I will play that in context. Now we'll add the drums and percussion. This song was the least interesting to me percussion-wise. I don't know why, because it's not uninteresting, but because it's kind of just a rock song, I didn't want to keep just a straight rock beat. But again, I didn't want to make the percussion so overwhelming that it gets in the way of everything else. So you'll see here that sort of uncharacteristically for me, there's only there's a drum track, there's some swelling cymbals, some wind chimes, some orchestral chimes, and then some sleigh bells. Those are all to underscore the orchestral elements, but there's really not that much going on. I'll solo those. Why not? We'll enjoy it. You know what? I kind of take that back. It's interesting in that the hi-hat work is pretty compelling, in my opinion. There's a tiny cool part here that I want to show you, which is an Omnisphere plugin called Archophonic Echoes, which is an affected like piano and then like an upright bass, maybe. It's like incredibly affected, but it added a lot of interesting complementary motion to the second pre-chorus. So I'm going to play that with, what should I add? Guitar, strings. And I turned that up way too loud so you could hear it. I will admit that originally this song was kind of boring to me, like just a little bit boring. And I realized as I was producing it that it was because all the chords were sort of boring. They were just a lot of triads, and the movement between them just was very uninspiring to me. But I think that I solved the problem, and I'm going to just I'll play the soloed acoustic and electric guitars here, just so you can kind of hear what I mean and hopefully hear the chords. So in the chorus, what we have is an F minor 7, which moves to an E flat sus 4, and then descending that one tone down to just a standard E flat. And then we're on a D flat, but adding the 9, so it's not a sus, but it's an addition. Then we go to a regular D flat again, and that transition into the second part is the A flat major 7 sus 4, which in Your Mouth is a Garden, which I discussed in an earlier Under the Hood, that there was a different key, but a similar chord in that transition, and it's beautiful and it's crunchy. And the reason it's crunchy is because the G is right by the A flat, so those two notes are right together. The thing that by far takes the most time for me in producing is making sure that all the colors match and complement each other. Because if you are going to have a chord that you want to be, for example, a sus2 that only has 3 notes in it, 3 tones, and the vocal or some other track, any other track, is singing that third scale degree, which is an addition of, and makes it an add 9 or an add 2, depending on octaves, whatever. That needs to be intentional, I think. Like, do you want that third scale degree? Because that is such a defining tone. It's such a defining moment in which direction the song, the melody, the harmony, whatever is going, that you need to be very intentional whether or not that's what you want there. So all of the vocals, all the harmonies and the backing vocals in this track are following the those chords I just played for you in the chorus exactly. There's no real overlap. They're all doing the same thing in different registers, and obviously with different instrumentation. But that's there's no clutter there really. It's thick and the arrangement is quite dense, but it's not nothing is running into anything else. With that being said, it is now time to discuss the vocals. There are so many vocal tracks in this song. I'm not going to count them right now, but I think I counted before. I think there are 40, roughly 40. You can see here, so wow, look at that. All vocals. We have all kinds of stuff. So, of course, there's Mark's lead. And there's gang harmonies, which is just, oh, this happens once. I'll just play that real quick so you know what you're listening to. Hear the echoes in the hall. This is another part of the painting. When Mark sings, hear the echoes in the hall, immediately after that, there are echoes in the vocals. But we see here there are technically 4 parts, right? We have gang harmonies 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all of Joe's additions as well. Because what I did is I sang a ton of these from different distances to the microphone and with different mouth shapes and trying to get different timbres in my voice, and then added Joe's so it was actually different and actually sounded like a choir. I did a lot of formant shifting and a lot of not necessarily pitch shifting, but just to make it sound like there were more voices than just Joe's and mine. Because Mark did not sing any of the harmonies in here because, in my opinion, his voice has too much character to stay out of the way, which is great for a lead vocalist, but not great for a backing vocalist. And now I am going to indulge myself and listen to all these harmonies soloed together just to hear those colors we were talking about. I was talking about. You can hear some of the movement in there. It sounds very church-like. It sounds like a choir, and it sounds like chords that a choir would sing, which I just love. Now I will play the harmony vocals in the chorus, all of them, all 40 or however many there are. Again, this is more of the painting. The lyrics say all the voices in my head, and then there are 40 voices. So not only is that musically effective, but it supports the lyrics in a beautiful way, I think. And I can live with all the voices in my head, but it's so quiet without you. And I'll be better, I'll remember what you said, but it's so quiet without you. Something I love about that particular part is that Joe's voice has a very a perfect backing vocal character. I mean, it does, but also in a particular range that adds a real warmth that my voice doesn't really have. And so that kind of, you can't, I mean, you don't hear it, but you miss it if it's not there, so it is there. And I might as well play the solo strings during this part as well so you can hear how the vocals follow that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to solo the strings and the vocals. That's what we'll do. So at this part, I'm going to point out something that I have not done in a Raynes song before. I'm going to show you this tempo map right here. It doesn't seem that interesting or that compelling, but right at this moment in the song, and I'll play it in a second, we're at 95 BPM the whole way through. And then when we get into this sort of down chorus with just the strings and Mark's vocal, we retardando or slow down from 95 to 90. But you see this line here is very short. So the retardando happens quickly, but it's very hard to notice. And I spent hours on just this little measure trying to decide exactly when I wanted things to slow down, because I didn't want it to be too obvious or too dramatic, but I wanted to get slower at this point so that you see over here, so that we could build from the 90 back to 95 BPM. So this curves just a bit, and that curve also took days. I redid it thousands of times because I wanted it to feel like it was speeding up, but from a tempo that almost was imperceptible as it changed. So I'll just play that, and we'll see if you hear it.
And I can live with all the voices in my head, but it's so quiet without you. And I'll be better, I'll remember what she said, but it's so quiet without you.
Since we're here, I might as well play the outro. This is a beautiful part of the song. I mean, I'll just say that. I think I'm allowed to. It's the same chords as the chorus, but of course a different melody, and not as many harmonies, not all the gang vocals. You'll see here there's Joe's part, and then two of my parts are just all stacked along with Mark's. So it's 3 harmony parts with the lead vocal, and then the strings. I will play those soloed for you now.
I'm at the gates, we'll be golden when we get where we're going someday. I'll buy you new summer clothes and send you dozens of roses someday.
I also have to highlight here Chris Sclafani's bass part. So when I send anything to anybody who's going to be playing it better than I am, like I said, I'm a huge hassle. I don't know if I'm fun to work with, because the way that I have it is the way that I want it. It's not a placeholder. Well, it is a placeholder, but it's exactly what I wanted. It's not just like a rough idea. And with this one, I only had my guide bass. I just had straight eighths all the way through. I wanted it to be, it's a rock song. The bass, I thought, could kind of be stupid there, or not doing too much. But I'm going to play his part, which is much better than mine. And this is why you want to find people who can actually play their instruments like they're supposed to. Because I can play the bass, but I'm not a bass player. Chris Sclafani is a bass player, and so he actually played it, and it really elevates the whole thing. I'm going to play this. Sorry for taking out the more interesting stuff, but I'll just do this with just the bass and the drums. So it grooves a lot harder this way, so thanks, Chris. The last thing I want to show is what I referenced at the beginning, which was the portamento strings. And this is more of a musical illusion than necessarily like a painting, as I've been referring to it as. In one of my favorite songs, You'll Be in My Heart by Phil Collins off the Tarzan soundtrack. The song ends with portamento strings. The last thing he says is, always, and then the strings go, you can, I don't know how to put it in this video. You can go listen to it. You should go listen to it. It's unreal. So, in this song, I ended it with that very slidey portamento string sound. And again, kind of more for me than anybody else, but now you know about it. My thought was, saying It's So Quiet Without You is sort of another way to say you'll be in my heart. So I'll just play this very last string part, and I will leave you by saying you'll be in my heart.